I'm nothing like my dad. I want to be just like you. Morning.
You guys are both originally from Michigan, but in some ways, like on the show, I see sort of like a very sort of Midwest, suburban, middle class relationship between Mark and his dad. How did you guys sort of envision their relationship, and what was it before Mark got his powers? Steven, maybe you can go first.
I don't know if we explicitly talked about that. I think we're just hitting on something that is in my way, from my point of view, a little bit more universal, of a father-son dynamic, and a son kind of coming of age and having all these expectations. He has a lot of things to live up to, especially in his own mind, that he's built up for himself. And I think he's simultaneously terrified about it, but also very eager. I think he idolizes his dad in that way, and also wants to overcome him in that same way, or is learning to understand that. And that's something that I relate to. In terms of like the Michigan dynamic, I can speak from how I felt working with JK. Is like there's just a openness, and a lack of pretension, I think, in the way that JK was open to like just working. It's hard to describe Midwest in that way, except to like juxtapose it to sometimes the coasts. And what I love about the Midwest is that sometimes it can be a lonely existence, but also it's such a collective existence. And I think there's a lot of warmth that comes from a place like the Midwest, and like the life lessons and the bonds that you make, and the ability to see everyone for who they are, as opposed to like a more judgment oriented reality.
Yeah, I think my own Midwestern working class roots are, whether I'm aware of it or not, obviously it's a big part of who I am, and unconsciously, I'm sure, informs the majority of the work that I do. And in some cases, it's something that I, could specifically consciously go back to. And in some cases, it's something I want to specifically get as far away from as I can, And in the case of Nolan, and, obviously, he's a Viltrumite, which is a ways away from Michigan, but there's also a very grounded human family reality that I found very easy to connect to.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering do you think there was ever a doubt in Mark and in Nolan's minds that Mark would get superpowers? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think there was ever sort of part of it was like, or what if he can just like kind of punch harder? You know what I mean? Like there was a blend.
No, I think, speaking for myself from Nolan's point of view, I think there is that, it's complex. And again, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but, there's an uncertainty. Yeah. And even a reticence, like, do I want him to fully come into the same powers that I have as his father? There's a little bit of a potential sort of, edible thing going on there. I mean, do I want to continue to be, undeniably the most powerful and the man of the family? And do I want, him to be his human genetics to play a role in when and whether his powers fully develop? And I'm gonna stop talking now. Steven?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think that's the difficulty of this father-son dynamic.
It's interesting to think about the humanity sort of like being a superhero, but at the same time, like as you said, JK, like Nolan and Omni-Man he's not a human, like he's a Viltrumite. Like who knows if Vilmanity or whatever is the same, sort of like if he has this hubris or
Yeah, and that hubris, that arrogance, for his entire time on Earth is certainly a defining characteristic of who he is. And again, that the ambivalence about whether he wants his son to fully experience that or partially experience that is it's just one of the interesting sort of psychological mysteries of the show.
Mark seemingly gets his, in the show, he gets his powers like, if I could snap better, I would snap better, but he gets them overnight. It's sort of out of nowhere. And I love how the show sort of like shows him, he's not great at flying, how does he have to learn all that? He has to kind of go to training. How did you sort of imagine the process of him just being like, oh, I can do this now. I can fly, I can throw things really hard.
I think it's that desire and fear of the same thing. It's him having built up an expectation of something, and he deeply wants it because I think it, in some ways, from his point of view, defines him and also gives him purpose, or feels like gives him purpose. And I think the difficult part about lineage and the expectations of those types of things is that you have to also learn that you have to carve your own path, and that's a really scary thing, especially if you've come from a life of living in the safety and comfort of someone as powerful as a father that's Omni-Man. And so I get that.
Yeah, I think it's a freeing and exciting and scary thing, and what I love is it's just such a brilliant metaphor for puberty, I mean, and puberty on steroids in the case of Mark. That was just what made it so just relatable as a as a father, but as a human.
I was going to say that's hard enough to learn without all the extra baggage
Right.
that comes with having to save the rest of the world.
I'm scared, Dad. What if I can't do this?
Follow me. Slow down. Land. I said land. Stop. Get up.
I'm actually getting used to this a little.
That's not good.